Now let's get the show on the road. On Monday, during a virtual support mission and signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Committee of Heads of State and Government participating in the African Peer Preview Mechanism in Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari reiterated Nigeria's commitment to promoting good governance and democracy in Africa. Wow. Okay. To look at this commitment with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome our three guests who are joining us via Zoom. Alero Aida Otobo. We always seem to be having Aleros these days.
Yeah.
And Alero is Chief Executive Officer, School of Politics, Policy and Governance. Hello, Alero.
Hello, my namesake. How are you?
Good, thank you. We also have
Good.
Ezekiel Inya Etuk, our friend who doesn't want to come to Lagos anymore because he's got Zoom now. Founder Nigeria First. And we also have...
Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Always a
Ezekiel.
pleasure to be with you. Thank
We
you.
also have David Dada, who is an IT consultant who's joining us from Ikeja. Oh, by the way, Mr. Yoyetuko is joining us from Uyo, all the way. And Mr. Dada from Ikeja. Thank you all very much for joining us this morning. Pardon me for being partial. I'm going to start with my namesake.
Who is a female, by the way. So ladies first. We understand.
Thank you. I can go on.
No, it's perfectly in order.
Thank
The
you very
gentlemen
much.
are also gentlemen as well, so you have the floor.
Alero, what do you make about this commitment by the president in light of all the things going on in Nigeria?
You know, when I read about it, I must confess, I sniggered, I rolled my eyes, and I thought, here we go again. And why? Because I think it's time to align what we say with what we actually do as leadership and as followership. There's such a misalignment that when you hear words like what our president uttered, you can't help but wonder whether we are in the same country. I quote, what did he say? He said that, as we are all aware, that's how he started. The government of Nigeria has consistently supported the strengthening of democracy and good governance throughout the African continent, including under the umbrella of the African Peer Review Mechanism. Keywords, strengthening of democracy and good governance. When we reflect and look at what has been happening in our nation over the last 1 year and more, can we really say that our democracy and good governance is working? Is it strengthened? Does our nation reflect the parameters of good governance? And if we look at what those parameters are, I think we may find a lot of us saying, not quite. If you look at some of it, it's how do we measure public institutions, how they conduct their public affairs and manage public resources? How are we managing public resources? And if we're to look at what has happened over the last 6-7 months, with even the palliatives, those that were kept in storehouses when Nigerians were suffering and they were hungry, is that good management of public resources? And it was in every single geopolitical zone, northwest, east. So there was no exception. And so, if you ask me, I'm a bit jaded. I would like to see good governance in the real sense of the word. And I've been disappointed. And I think that's why I'm involved in some of the things that I'm doing right now, because I'm tired of hoping someone else will do it. I think it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and take our nation and shape it into what we want to see. That's my answer.
Okay. Ezekiel, what are your thoughts? Are you on the same page with Alero?
I think if you have two people in the same room and the two people are speaking two different languages, the problem would be having to understand that they are singing from two different song sheets, two different songs. You graciously got me on this program. If my intention was to be on channels, I would have achieved my aim. But you know that you asked me to come here to communicate some things to the larger world because you believe I have some things to communicate. So if there isn't that understanding between the two of us, I'll probably just come here and be doing a lot of smiling and looking good and adjusting myself because I came here to appear on television, on channels, and here I am on channels. So I've achieved my aim. Now, the people that get into government, what is their motivation? Why do they get in there in the first instance? Are they there to serve the people? Are they there to enrich themselves? Are they there for what? It is what brings them into office that determines them, assuming that they are very successful. You see, when you listen to Mr. President, the first question you ask him is that exactly what is his understanding of government, the essence of government, and governance. How many people have taken time to read chapter 2, section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution that says that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government? How many governors, how many senators, how many House of Reps members, how many of our legislators are there for the security and welfare of the people as their primary motivation for seeking public office? There's a complete divide between what we are expecting as citizens and what brought people into politics in the first instance. Why would I sell my house, mortgage my future, bring out as much as 1 billion naira to be a senator so that I can go and serve the people? That just doesn't make sense. I think, like my sister Alero said, the time has come for those of us that God has blessed with the capacity to think, and we are not a few, to come and say what my sister Alero has just said. I'm tired of waiting for others to do it. Let me come and do it. We must define that it and know that we are walking in the same direction and singing the same song sheets. I think, with all due respect, that Mr. President and I are not looking at things in the same way. If not so, nobody will say that we are doing the best with respect to governance in this country. I beg to differ, please.
Okay, Mr. Dada, you know, all of this is talking about promoting good governance in Nigeria. And in this age and time, from what we know, what you probably know as well, the population of Nigeria is made up of an average 70% young Nigerians. 70% of us are between ages 16 and 35 or 45 thereabout. Talking about good governance, how do you think good governance, or that this larger population of Nigerians can feel good governance better, knowing the things that they know and the capacities that they have?
So much, Ayo. Thank you for having me on this show this morning. Really appreciate that. I'll start by just giving you my personal opinion about what we have experienced, what I have experienced as a young person growing up in Nigeria, expectations as a young person, and what we get to see, from government. In 1999, when we were transiting into this democratic rule, it was my first time of experiencing a democratic rule. We were so excited. We were looking forward to, as they told us, Nigeria will become like London in 10 years. There will be infrastructure, development will be evenly distributed across the country and all of that. So we were very expectant. This was in 1999. I was barely 20 years old, then. Now, it's been 21 years after. And I dare say that things have been worse in some cases than what they were in 1999. Healthcare system has gone down compared to what we had in 1999. Education is obviously in tatters compared to what we had in 1999. Power is even, don't just go there. Yeah, we've made some progress, but the bulk of the things that were promised that we looked up to as young people, hoping to see a better country. And 20 years of my life has gone down into that, and we don't have anything to celebrate, really. Yes, like I said, we made some progress, but there is a bit of bitterness in my soul when I look at my country and a country like Rwanda, for instance, because I know we have what it would take. As a young person, I know what we have, what we possess to turn the country around, because we can leapfrog on a lot of things. But somehow there is a disparity between the reality of who we are as a country and where we are as a nation and the people leading us. They don't seem to see what the real things are. So we're talking about, things of the 21st century. I mean, the issue of namesake and all of that just makes you want to puke when you really analyze some of these things. Come on, we're better than this as a nation. We're better than this as a people.
Yeah, David, we'll come to some of those things that you have raised now, but let's go. Let me take this up with Alero. Madam, as CEO of a School of Politics, Policy and Governance, the question that comes to my mind is, what is wrong or right with our leadership recruitment system?
Leadership recruitment system. Let me tell you a little story that will help us put everything in context. If I own a shop, a store, and I want to hire a good quality someone who will serve in my store and will provide good customer service, what do? One, I'll put out an advert. Two, I'll review all the applications that I get. I'll interview them. Three, then I'll do what? Select the best that I think will deliver on the mandate and the responsibility I'm going to give her. I'll make sure that while she works, the first 3 months, I will assess her, I will evaluate her, and I will confirm her appointment, right? Until she performs to the level and delivers the quality of service that I want her to deliver. This is for my sales girl or sales boy in my shop. I'm paying attention. I'm recruiting the best. Now let's come to politics. How do we recruit the politicians that decide to run for office? Truth is that anyone can get up and say, I'm running for office. We're not sure of their track record. We don't know whether they are qualified. So someone saying, I want to be a doctor. Have you done 5 years medicine? Have you been to medical school? No, that doesn't matter. Don't worry, I'm a really good doctor. On what basis? Who has certified you as a good doctor? That's what we're doing with our political system in Nigeria. The problem of leadership is the way we're recruiting our leaders and the way we are preparing our leaders. Right now, if you look at, for example, the United Kingdom, to become a member of parliament, there is a body that interviews and evaluates those who want to run for office before they step up and say, I want to be a member of parliament. And if you don't go through the selection system, if you don't go through the selection process and get through, you can't run and say you want to be a member of parliament. In Nigeria, we have to stop fooling ourselves that anyone can be a minister, anyone can be a senator, anybody can be a member of House of Rep, even anybody can be a local government chairman. That's not true. It's a lie. And until we stop believing that lie and we begin to do what other nations do that want to be great, because I want Nigeria to be great, it is time for us to put together that selection process. And I'm sorry, our president, or whoever, you can't be, in this day and age, 21st century, you can be SS3 and run for office? No. There's too much at stake. There's too much information out there. The knowledge needed to govern a nation, the complexity of any nation like Nigeria, you better have the knowledge, the skills, the values, and the understanding. And that is why the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance was established. We want to start in our own way. To see people want to run for office, come and get trained. Come and be an excellent politician. Come and get the right mindset. So we started with mindset reorientation. And that's why I'm very pleased that my brother mentioned Ezekiel. I'm so glad that you mentioned what you did right at the beginning. That you need, why are you running for office and you're spending over £1 billion? Why? If you want to serve, you're chosen and you prepare yourself. I've said many times, I've served 4 ministers. And honestly, the difference in quality is like night and day. Some are totally clueless. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to tell you when I serve because then you might put it together. And others are exceptional. We shouldn't have such disparities. We need to elevate our criteria for selection. We need to elevate the qualities that we require for our leaders. We must be able to define who can rule, who can govern, who can serve Nigerians. And right now, we're not doing it very well. Poor recruitment, poor selection, poor training, poor equipping. And you know what? Like I said before, if I hire you, I'm going to evaluate your performance over 3-6 months. If I confirm your appointment, we are not evaluating, and citizens are not allowed. And if you evaluate, you are deemed to be against government.
Gentlemen, pardon me. I would like to stay with Alera for a bit regarding some of the things that she said. You said it's a lie that anybody can go into politics and become a leader. But that is the fact of our lives at the moment. That is what is going on now. As long as you have SS3, you can vie for any office. So, is there anything that your school is doing to try and cause the change which will make that become a lie, as you have said?
Yes. I see. If I was going to answer you, allow me to answer you in 3 ways. The first is what we are doing. To come into the School of Politics, Policy and Governance, there's an application form you're going to fill and it's thorough. A personal statement that you're going to write. You have to show your track record. You have to demonstrate excellence. You have to demonstrate performance. So I have to have the evidence, letters of recommendation, the whole works is there. And I'm pleased to see that yesterday was the closing date and we have over 700 applications. We are thrilled and there's some amazing people that want to come to the school. So that's the first answer I'm going to give, that we can put a process in place. Just as we have a process for going to medical school, going to law school, there is a process. Another one is that we need to start paying attention to our educational system. I've been in education for a while. After leaving banking, I went into the education world. And I was alarmed at the quality of our teachers. There are many good teachers, but honestly, in many states, you will not believe, and we've done tests. The organization I was working with carried out tests. Many teachers could not pass some of those tests that primary 6 students were expected to pass. This was about 10 years ago. But have things changed? I would like to say no. Like Muyiwa said, I think education is still in the state of crisis. So what would I then suggest or recommend that we do? We have to look at our curriculum, and it's time to put in character education. There are nations that have in their curriculum character education. It's time to put it, we have civics, but we're not paying enough attention to raising patriots in our nation and raising leaders that will serve. And we learn service from school. Primary school is where you learn how to serve. Secondary school is where you learn how to serve. And you learn not just reading and writing. So we need to take a second look at our curriculum and not keep tweaking it, but to completely revamp it, make it 21st century compliant, as well as a curriculum that raises nation builders, make people who love their nation, want to serve their nation, and want to make a difference. Right now, that is a big missing piece in our education.
Thank you, Alera. Gentlemen, do stand by. We'll just take a short break, and then we'll bring the conversation to you. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Ezekiel, Nigeria followed closely what happened in Uganda not too long ago, not more than 2 weeks ago. And I don't recall that Nigeria made any comment. And now we're coming out to say that we're fighting for democracy in Africa and we are committed. I mean, that word that the president used, we're committed to upholding the ideals of democracy all over Africa. Do you recall us making any comment about what happened in Uganda regarding a president who has been in power for 35 years?
You know, there is a difference, very marked difference between what you say while you are in office and who you are and what you want when you are in office. There's a marked difference between the two, and we need to understand that. When we listen to our leaders, we are not listening to their heart. We are listening to the scripts that have been written for them I'll tell you a little story. When architect Obon Victor Atta left as governor and he was to attend a certain event, I was very unhappy with him. I said, sir, you can't attend this event and everything because I'm a son to him, not just like a son. I'm his son. So we went back and forth and he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to attend this event. But what you do for me, write my speech for me. When you bring it, I'll look at it. I wrote the speech. I gave it to him. He looked at it and said, it makes a lot of sense. I like the points you've made. I'll take the points. But let me put it in my language in a way that reflects me talking. And I was so happy, so impressed. Listen to the speeches of our leaders. I don't want to be specific. You realize that there's a very terrible disconnect between the words that come from them and the look on their faces, because they are not reading what they want to say. They are reading what they should say so that they will be politically correct. I'll still come back to this, no matter the analysis that we do. The time has come when we, the privileged people, the elite, need to know that the political system is going to ruin us, is going to do us harm. If we expect that, I think it was Dr. Maupai that said this. He said, if you put sugar or honey in somebody's mouth and the person spits it out, the first thing is that guy has diabetes. Just don't think twice about it, he has a problem. What do I mean? These people who know that under proper profiling, they have no chance whatsoever getting into office. You want those people to come and set up the criteria for profiling office, seekers, and they know that where they're coming from, they can do second term, they can do third term, they would like to come back. And we want these same people to change the constitution so that leadership recruitment, look at what Sister Alero said, which is a sad, sad truth. For you to be the president of the Fed, look, some weeks back, I recruited estate surveyors for my company. And I can't even take OND. And you are telling me the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria can have school set. I mean, this is preposterous. This is outrageous. This is, I don't know the words to use. And yet our senators are sitting pretty, getting humongous amount of money. I don't know how many senators are saying, if I perish, I perish. The time has come when the right thing has to be done in this country. So I'm not really bothered about what they said about Uganda and all those things, because that is politics. That is being politically expedient. And it's not what they believe. It's not what they stand for. What they stand for is power. And they really saw this man as being a man who understands power. That's why Jonathan didn't understand power. How could he give up power? No, Bobby Wine was just, they shut down the internet. Bobby Wine was restricted. They did what they got to do. They got back to power. It's like, my guy, inside them is like, this guy understands it. I hope we, in our political system, we can learn and make sure that is done in 2023. We Nigerians, like Sister Alero, this school of politics, policies, and governance, I want the COVID team. The way they responded to COVID, which is nothing compared to governance. Let them move into this school and take it across the whole country. Let us come 2023, have enlightened political system. It is possible.
All right, well, Mr. Dada, let me come back to you. In 2019, May 26, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture put up a notice on their website, which is still there, by the way. And it was the Minister of Communications at the time, Dr. Adebayo Shitu, talking about e-governance, the e-governance platform, which was launched then. They called it it was actually chaired by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation today, Boss Mustafa. That committee was the chairman. He was the chairman, Presidential Council on e-government. And part of the functions of that plan was to improve efficiency in the public service, block financial leakages, ensure transparency in government dealings, which would reduce corruption to the barest minimum and bring the government closer to the people. You wanted to talk about an example of public service delivery the other time at the National Identity Management Program of government, where we are supposed to get our NINs by February 9, or a good number of phone lines will be blocked. If we were to take an example of government, public service, or governance, and we were to apply e-governance, what have we missed? What opportunities have we missed? And what do you think we could have done better to improve lives and not create super spreader gatherings for COVID-19 like we have over the past few weeks?
All right, so most of the time, government will come up with this lofty ideas. Sometimes the intentions are right, sometimes the intentions are good. However, the delivery has always been abysmal. I mean, and there is a gap between the concept, the idea, the intention, and the delivery. And that has to do with those who are managing the process. Just like Mr. AI Talk said, so you want to deliver a tech project and you're asking someone who is qualified in another field to oversee that project. In all probability, they're going to mess up the project. And so we always have the case of putting round pegs in square holes, or square, pegs in round holes. So most of the time we don't get to the desired end until government, streamline the process of delivering whatever idea has been sold to them, or those that they generated themselves that are good. And then having, I normally tell people, why do tech projects fail? Because we don't have tech project managers. You don't have someone looking at the process from start to finish and say, look, these are the gaps I see in delivering this project, and these are the things we need to do to fix them. And here we just, mumble things together and just put everything together, let's just get there. Let's just get it done. It doesn't work like that. There are systems and there are ways that things has to be delivered. Now, you refer to the NIMSI thing, for instance. Now, I was so appalled when I saw, I'm not too sure now, but a top government official tweeting that people should download the form and then take the form physically, they fill it, and go submit the form physically at a center. And I'm like, who thinks like that? Who does that? I mean, you're asking me to download the form. What's wrong with me filling the form right there online and submit the form to wherever you want me to submit it? Why do I need to go cram myself in a space during a pandemic just to submit a form? I think there's a problem with the thinking process that.
At that point, Mr. Dada, if I can just quickly bring a perspective which you might want to throw some light on as well. Perhaps the thinking there was that because maybe the thinking is that you can't submit biometrics online. They have to take some biometric data of you, your fingerprints and stuff like that, so that they can match it to your data and put it in the system so there's no mistakes. What do you think? You're an IT person, you should be able to tell us.
Now, again, it shows you the mindset of the people who are behind, most of these policies and ideas and things that are trying to deliver. The intentions may be good, but the process to delivering them are just awful. All right. So we've been having BVN data capture and all that going on for years now. So we have banks who you can walk into those banks and get your biometrics done right now. And banks are scattered all over the federation. They're scattered all over the country. I don't think there is any village you get to in Nigeria now that you won't see a branch of a bank. All right. Now, these banks are equipped with all the facilities to take your biometrics. Why do we need to just cramp into just the NIMSI centers when we have banks all over the place that can take the same data from you? We have telcos. Telcos take your biometrics every day. All right. So you get into any telco office, they have the facility to do that. Why can't NIMSI give them access to the database? They take your biometric and they send it to them. Why do we need to stay with NIMSI? So you go to a Ikeja NIMSI office and you see thousands of people cramping together maybe one person. All you need is just one person infected with COVID, and thousands of people will be infected in that location.
Mr. Dada, you may want to give us a little more. I would like to take Mr. Nyetok on this same thing, but you may want to give us a little more perspective on that, because, I mean, you were part of a national e-government strategies development, sometime more than 10 years ago, you told me. And so perhaps there is some thinking of government that people are not aware of, which is making it difficult or unthinkable for us to take this trajectory that you are talking about. What could be the reason for this?
Now, most of the time, of course, there are points, there are certain facts that we may not see, being on the street. So most of the time when these people in government want to take decisions, there are quite a number of things they have to take a look at. However, from where we stand, we can see that there's a deficiency in the delivery process for this, for instance. So they said, I listened to the lady, whether I think maybe she's the publicity secretary or something on your channel. She talked about, cleaning up the database. She talked about giving access to people. They need to go through the process of giving access to people and all of that. Yes, that's good. That's great. But how long does it take for you to clean up the database? How long does it take for you to link people, give them access to the database? Now, we're talking about the pandemic, all right? Certain things should be done with a sense of urgency. Certain things should be an emergency at this point. Priority should be given to a whole lot of things to make the process a lot seamless, all right? And a lot easier for the people to access. I think we're just putting many people at risk trying to get these things done. And technology by nature should make things easier, not more difficult. So if you're not getting it right, then you're making life difficult for people. And that is what we're saying here, that they're not getting this right. All right. And it's very simple. It's not rocket science. We're talking about database administration. We're talking about you. Okay, for instance, you want people to take biometrics, right? If you have a smartphone, there are apps that can take your biometrics and send. You can revalidate that by another process that will ensure that whatever has been sent to you is actually what it should be. So you break all of this down into models and you set out the stuff. But what they are doing right now, if they continue on this trajectory, is going to lead to disaster, I tell you.
Mr. Dada, Rashid Giwa says, have you tried calling the phone numbers listed on government agency websites and email addresses, railways, immigration, customs, NIMSI? They don't even answer the call. If it rings, they don't reply emails or tweets, and you are expecting e-compliance? That is the question that Rashid Giwa is asking. I would like your reaction to this, since you were in the system before.
Well, I wasn't in the system in that sense. I mean, we were just a consultant, and we were on the sideline trying to give advice and, a form of guide to what they were doing. Now, sometimes, look, the people that are driving these things, are not just, some of them have not bought into the idea. So someone is kept, at the table to answer calls. He already has a mindset that this is government work. I can't come and kill myself. So instead of resuming at 8 o'clock, for instance, the girl or the lady just walks in, maybe even a guy just walks in at about 10 a.m. and the phone rings, it picks one and, picks the other, and that's it. And then another one keeps coming and says, these people's wala are too much. The mindset is just horrible when it comes to some of these government parastatals. So you don't expect someone to pick your call. I mean, if they do, you're probably just one out of a million who is extra lucky. I mean, you should go and thank your star. Now, talking about emails, forget it. So you get to some offices, there's even no power, nothing to power their systems, or they don't have internet access. All right. And so many other mundane things that shouldn't even exist at all in the system. They're there to, hamper the service delivery that you and I should get. All right. So there's a whole lot of things that government need to do. They need to look inwards. Look at the people. I keep saying this. Who are the people managing the process? Who are the people that are handling the process? What is their level of training? What kind of skills do they have? All right. Until we put the right people to manage the process, we'll always get the kind of result we're getting.
Mr. Anyaitok, let's speak to the younger generation now. And I know that in a way, this is a constituency you are personally passionate about. We are talking about promoting good governance practice today. This plan of government, was launched in 2019. And it is not something that just started now. It's something that we've been talking about for years before we got to the point of launching that e-governance platform. Now, if we were to talk to a younger generation, given what we have now about good governance in Nigeria, I'd like us to be specific. So let's use this NIN project again as a guinea pig. From where you stand, what dimension of good governance or good governance service delivery have you seen? What are the gaps and what should we fill?
Yes, one of the biggest problems that I have working with the young people is that we, the adults, have grown and they have grown up with an extremely confused set of paradigms. They are on the social media and they see how government and governance works. They understand the concept of meritocracy, and then they come to their country, and if you're intelligent, you are a threat to government. If you are cerebral, you are a threat to government. So they don't know whether to apply hard work and diligence, and it will lead them to becoming nothing, or to become thugs, and overnight they are successful. Our young people are confused because the intelligent ones are not getting the jobs. Go to Central Bank, go to NNPC, go to FIRS, go and look at our recruitment processes. They don't encourage excellence. They don't encourage meritocracy. And I'm telling my young people to read, and they're like, sir, it seems you're not in tune with the times. The Times says get involved in politics, become a thug, and you are rewarded. It's such a hard thing, and I can't blame them. Let me please quickly just say something about the NIM and all those things, because it's very important to me. Number one is that if there is no corruption in the civil service, 90% of civil servants will not be able to feed their families and take care of the things that they've got to do. These are people that have children abroad, they have children in private schools and everything, and their salary cannot even pay the school fees of one of their children. So there must be corruption if they must survive. It's a thinking point where we should think of and know that for us to be able to change the paradigm, there's a lot of work we've got to do in foundation laying. So the NIM process, I don't know what extent it is designed to be confusing. If you have 100 blocks scattered to count, it can take you 20 minutes because as you count, they say, no, you've counted before. You can't. But if you arrange those blocks in 5-5 and in 2 lines and 10-10, you just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 times 2, 20 times 5, 100. It will take you seconds to count it. Why are we having this confusion with our NIN or national identity number? Number one, if you ask a Nigerian between your bank account and the identity number, which one is more important? He will say bank account. So Nigerians give honest information to bank account so that they can have their BVN. I asked a simple question.
Now.
I did a simple Google. Please, just a minute. I did a simple Google, and we have over 100 million active bank accounts of individuals. Why don't we start with that first?
We've just got to leave it here now, but I've got to just put in this before we go. School of Politics and Governance is needed to groom our political class. Leadership recruitment process must be upgraded. This is from HOB Bangbade. Thank you all very much for joining us this morning. Mrs. Alero, Aida Otobo, Mr. David Dada, and Mr. Ezekiel Etuku all joined us virtually. Thanks you for coming to share your insights with us.
Thank you so much, Alero. Thank you.